go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. Oh, away we go. I'll just yell through Lonzo's mic loudly. Hello. Hi. How's it going? This is the very professional Rob Brown Show. I've been on the air.
Nobody knows.
15 years.
My bad. I should have turned the right button on.
Lonzo's using the wrong freaking microphone.
Why
don't
you let me take it? You never let me take. I just what I'm here for, to take it, and you won't let me take it. I tried to take it.
Let me tell you how the day's going. I forgot the laptop at home to start the day, right? Which means when I got here and I sat down at my desk, and I'm not going to lie about this part, Lonzo. I sat at my desk. When I come in, if I have anything to put it in the fridge, I put it in the fridge, right? And then I spin around and I roll my chair back over to my desk in the Fortress of Nerditude, and I turn on my computer, right? Pop in the password, and then while it's warming up, I get my show prep sheets to start writing stuff down, getting ready to shape up any final thoughts before we go live on the air. I spun around to my desk where there was not a laptop. Now, I will also tell you that bringing the laptop home in the afternoons is a recent development for me, right? Because I have my personal laptop at the house that I usually work on, but I've been bringing the work laptop home the last couple of weeks because my personal laptop is plugged into all my studio equipment, right? My mixing board, my microphone, my broadcasting lights, my webcam, it's all USB. And every time I unplug it, plug it, I got to change all the settings on it and yada, yada, yada. It's just a raging pain in the rear end. And so the last couple of days, I have found myself preferring to work out on the couch, right? So I've been bringing the business laptop home to work on. I brought it home yesterday. I forgot to pick it up this morning, and I did not realize that. So I get into work. I put the stuff in the fridge. I spin around. I go to push the power button on my laptop. My laptop's not there. And Lonzo, I genuinely did this, not because I was looking for the laptop, but because my dumb brain was like, where's the power button? Where's the screens are black. Where's the how? Oh, the actual computer's not here. What a great way to start the day.
Welcome to the life of the elderly. I mean, that's the sort of thing happens when you get a little bit older. It does. And when you got a lot of stuff going on, and when you have 29 jobs. When you, like Rob Brown has 29 jobs, sometimes, you get a little overloaded.
I spent 30 to 40 seconds looking for a power button on a computer that wasn't there.
But see, I do things like that on occasion. Yes, the jersey is awesome, by the way. I do things like that on occasion, and then I laugh at myself because it's, I mean, you can either get mad or you can laugh at yourself. Because if you're watching that on a sitcom, you're probably laughing about that dude doing that. So,
30 to 40 seconds looking for a power button to a laptop that's not there. Not looking for the laptop, looking for the power button, trying to figure out why the screens. I got the laptop, and then it HDMI, whatever, USB-C plugs into 2 other monitors. So I got 3 monitors to work on while I'm at work. 2 monitors wouldn't come on. Didn't even think, well, it's because you didn't bring your laptop, idiot. It was just, where's the power button? Where's the power? So then I've got to work in, here today, right? I got to work in the studio, which also means that I will be out of the studio at 12:05 today because there's nothing else I can do here. Everything will have to be done from home. I have been working in the studio.
Unless you get that email, hey, stop by.
Yeah, which I might now. Hey, idiot, come to my office and shut the door when you get here.
At least you didn't go to engineering and go, hey, someone took my laptop.
Yeah. I mean, I know where it is now. So then I come in here, we start the show, I grab the wrong microphone, and I'm just looking around in a panic. Meanwhile, Lonzo's staring at me like, what are you doing?
You were very judgmental towards me there for a little bit, which I found found funny because I knew right away it wasn't my fault.
I was looking at the board.
It's like, what are you doing?
I was looking at the board because I'm like, okay, my mic is on, mic 2 is on, but I don't hear me. So I'll just yell louder because that's the solution to the problem, right? The mic's not working. Maybe if I verbally and audibly assault it, it'll come together. Nope. Hey, idiot, just grab, the microphone you use every day of the week. Just get that one.
I will commend you for this, though. On another program, I would have been chastised, downgraded, yelled at for the entire show for allowing that to happen. So, I mean, there's that.
No, I'm just an idiot. I got no problem telling people I am the idiot.
We all have off days. We do. I mean, that's just how it goes. But I'd rather have an off day where everything's just kind of goofy than an off day where everything's angry. So can we just have a goofy day? I'm just,
It is Thursday. You know what that means.
Yeah. I mean, we've got some hard hitting questions.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Also, are we having a guest today?
Rashad is out today. He is in Canada, eh?
Oh, wow. That's convenient when he could have given us an apology. We could have reversed it on him and say, hey, we would like an apology.
I was like, oh, you're in Canada.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you do. You say, you know what? I'm going to be in Canada. Yeah. Like someone chooses to go to Canada. Come on.
Rashad took a hot minute to figure out what country can I say I'm in that's not too outrageous. Hey guys, I'm in Tunisia. Can't make it. Sorry.
I mean, if he said, hey, I'm in Mexico on vacation, I'm good with that. But he's in Canada?
For work. That's what he said. I'm in Canada for work. He said, let me see if I can get Dave on. I was like, that's all right. That's fine. We're still going to say.
Still gonna ask. Maybe Dave could be his emissary.
His proxy apologist.
Yeah. Could apologize for him. He could do that.
Here's what we got.
I'm guessing Dave will not do that though.
No, I suspect not. Here's what we got going on today. Coming up at 11 o'clock, we're going to be joined by John Harkes, head coach of the Greenville Triumph. We will take a look back at the United States men's national team's exit from the World Cup. We will also talk to John very briefly about Sunday's World Cup final. Yesterday, France went ahead and punched their ticket to the final via a 2-0 defeat of Morocco. So the Cinderellas of Croatia and Morocco have both been bounced by heavy favorites, as coming up on Sunday, Lionel Messi and Argentina will take on Kylian Mbappe and France in the World Cup final. We'll get John Harkes' perspective on that. Then immediately after that, we will, in a segment bound to drive Diesel crazy, turn it from soccer to professional wrestling and boxing and MMA when we do Fight Club with Lonzo at 11:20. And suffice to say, great one, it has been quite the interesting week in wrestling, both in and out of the ring.
Why do we care what Diesel thinks?
I don't. I just like the fact that if he listens, he's going to be like, what is happening? So, looking forward to that.
Or it could be an hour for him to take a nap because,
Fair enough. So 11 o'clock, John Harkes, 11:22-ish will be Fight Club with Lonzo. Also looking for Emily Adams of the Greenville News covering the Gamecocks, because we were going to have her on yesterday. But then we had a Shane Beamer press conference. And Shane Beamer was, let's just say he was a bit heated in that presser yesterday. I don't know how much you've gotten to see of it, Zoe, if any of it.
I actually sent you something on Twitter.
That's right, you did.
I did. So
you did.
And I could grab that.
Yeah, do me a favor and grab that because an idiot forgot their laptop this morning. They were unable to run sound. So you've got a bit of the presser. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I haven't actually heard this yet. I've heard some clips, so I don't know what clip it is. I don't care. Shane Beamer went for 11 minutes and 37 seconds in his presser introducing Dowell Loggins to South Carolina. Here's a little taste of it.
So surely everybody that wants to critique every hire that we make here, I'm sure you guys knew that Dowell Loggins turned down a coordinator job in the SEC last year, correct? Everybody knew that, right? I'm sure you guys know that I'm the fourth SEC head coach that's reached out to him in the last 2 weeks about coming to work for him. So we were fortunate to hire Dowell Loggins because there were a lot of other people that were interested in hiring Dowell Loggins as well. I'm sure you guys reached out to Bill Parcells, who Dowell worked for. Anybody? I'm sure the people on the outside, all the experts on social media, I'm sure they called Sean Payton, arguably one of the greatest NFL coaches of all time, to talk to Sean Payton about Dow. I'm sure you reached out to Kyle Shanahan, the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. All those guys are guys that Dow worked for. Did you call Connor Shaw? Alshon Jeffrey Dow coached Alshon Jeffrey with the Chicago Bears. And I'll keep my conversation with Alshon private, but it was pretty dang special what he told me. I talked to John Fox, former head coach of the Carolina Panthers, Chicago Bears, Denver Broncos, about Dow. Clyde Christensen, current quarterbacks coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Sylvester Croom, longtime NFL coach who just went into the Hall of Fame for college football last week. James Franklin, current head coach at Penn State. Stan Drayton, current head coach at Temple University. All people that he worked with or Dow was the coordinator for. So we hired a big-time coach and couldn't be more excited about hiring Dow. And the text messages that I got from people that he's worked with or coached over the last however many years in the NFL validate that for sure.
Dang!
And he's doing these.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing these. You know, you can't see what these are, but he's throwing hands up when he's talking, like he's you know how you point at someone without using your fingers? And he's kind of looking directions, like he's pointing at someone with his hands without as Rob's grandma would say, he's throwing the whole flock towards them. Throwing the whole flock towards everybody in the media room. And he got nothing back. No one was saying anything.
Shano.
I like Salty Shane. I do.
Shano. Salty Shane was having none of y'all's BS yesterday. Shane was on a heater, my guy. And for the record, because again, I saw a couple of pieces. I saw a couple of pieces of that presser in clips here and there last night. And I was talking to the lady friend at the Swamp Rabbits game last night, right? Was working the game. She was there. Took a break during the first intermission. Went up to say hi to her. And she asked if I'd seen it. And I was like, I haven't seen all of it. Seen a couple of bits and pieces of it. Shane was heated. She's like, yeah, that's my coach, dude. She's like, that's my coach. I was like, I get it. I get it. Listen, for the record, this doesn't erase the questions, right? Did you call Bill Parcells? Did you call Sean Payton? No.
Here's what I heard. I heard a coach that vetted who he was about to hire by talking to a bunch of well-known and respected people in the business. That's what I heard. I stood up going, hey, I hear he's pretty good. I think I'll hire him. That's not what he did. He vetted him properly. I mean, is there somebody you missed? The people who are upset about the hire? We're not going to know if it's a good hire or not until they actually, get on the field next year. We're not going to know.
I mean, yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, but some people prejudge, and it's over. It's done. You've heard it. You've seen it. It's going back the other way. How dare they hire someone we don't want them to hire?
The audacity.
Does Beamer not know who's in charge here?
Let me say a couple of things. Numero uno. Everybody judges everything. Everybody judges everything that you do within the program. That's kind of work. It's like kind of how it works, right? Now, tell you what my gut reaction to that is. And I love that clip, right? Because if you're a South Carolina fan who is hashtag Team Shane no matter what, you are going to support this dude whatever what. Like the what's the word I'm looking for here? I don't know, just that
he was being very
unconditional.
He was being very defensive because he had to be because of the noise. I mean, you can say, yeah, let's just we don't listen to all the noise. The noise was a cacophony loud enough to be heard where he is. I heard some smart guy say it. Okay.
It's one of my favorite words.
Mine too.
Cacophony.
Yes. One of our old hosts on WRD used
It's a
to
great word.
call it a cacophony, and he used a symphony in there and stuff. It was a pretty good line that he had. It stuck in my, as the first time I heard it. And yes, I know what a cacophony is, but it was so loud that he could not ignore it. I mean, and of course the questions are going to be in such a way. So you stop the people from asking the questions because he just shut them up. He did. He absolutely did. And just like me with Twitter trending topics every day when I'm just crossing things off, the media was going, can't ask that, can't ask that, can't ask that. You know what? Going to be a short day for me because I don't have anything.
Gonna be a short day for me. Let's say this. Number one, gut reaction that I had was you're going a little hard on the defense here, Shano, right? Like, as somebody who historically, Lonzo, and I think the majority of you who have listened to the show know this, historically, if somebody challenges my integrity or somebody says something that is false about the show, sometimes, though, I can be a little passionate in my response and defense, right? We had a guy text like a week ago that was like, Rob, we all know you're a secret Gamecock fan and you hate Clemson. And I popped off, all right? So I get it. But on the other hand, like I could he have just come out and been like, hey, I hired the guy, deal with it, and then put on his fun sunglasses and tap danced off stage? Now, again, I get it, right? Like he is trying to rally to inspire the Team Shane no matter what Gamecocks to keep them excited. Shane could have come out and been like, hey, look, you'll all find out if I made the right hire come next season. By next October, you'll know if I made the right call or not. See you then. Make sure you're there week 1. We're going to go hard. There is, once again, nothing wrong with questioning Shane Beamer's hire. Oh, he worked for Sean Payton. Okay. I don't understand what that's got to do for anything. Every NFL job he was in, he sucked at.
That was directed at Rob Brown.
That's what I told the lady friend.
Yeah, it was directed right at Rob Brown because, unlike other shows, we're popular in Columbia. And so, he's like, well, why is Rob coming at me? I'll diffuse this. I'll show Rob. I went to his coach.
That is what I told the lady friend yesterday. I'm like, pretty sure he was talking to me. Pretty sure he was talking to me with that. Did you call Sean Payton? No, Shane, I don't have Sean's number. He does follow me on Twitter, funny enough.
There you go.
You want me to pop him a DM? Hey, Sean, Shane told me to get in touch with you about Dow Loggins. What are your thoughts? Sean, thanks. Thank you for being a friend. Shane, none of us know Sean Payton. None of us know Bill Parcells.
You've shared a meal with Sean Payton.
I have.
How do you not know him?
It was a long time ago.
Hey, old friends are still friends, right?
I like you turning my humble brag on me. That's good. No, none of us did that. But here's the thing, man. Yes, Dow worked in the league where he was voted by his peers the worst offensive coordinator in the league, right? 4 other SEC coaches called him about being the offense coordinator. Oh, okay. Hey, Lonzo, yesterday, 3 radio stations in New York called me about taking over their afternoon drive time. Does anybody believe that? I'm not saying Shane lied about it. I'm just saying if you're not going to drop a name.
By the way, they could have done that.
Right.
I mean, because you've got that kind of skills, and they've heard your New York accent, which is, it's awesome.
Hey, we're going to talk about the Yankees. I don't know why it just fell apart on me like that.
There you go.
Just fell apart on me like that.
It's that Boomhauer pressure. Why I didn't do that yesterday.
Oh, man. Shane Beamer.
He name dropped for a reason, to shut some people up, and also to say, hey, I didn't just pick a name out of a hat. We looked at this. This is who we think is best for the job. This guy's being sought after by other people. I talked to some people that I know and I respect, and I believe you guys do too. So why not believe that I picked the right guy? In the end, it might be the name that everybody wants. Oh, I can't believe we got that guy. That's all. We're going to be so good, and he may fall flat. I mean, we don't know. This is a gamble, just like drafting someone number 1 in the NFL. You don't know until they get out on the field and we see the results. But there will be people angry for this entire year until August when they get out on the field and start working.
My honest thought, Shane's frustrated right now. Shane's frustrated as hell. He's got players that are bailing on him. He's got recruits that are bailing on him. Right. He did another thing yesterday where he was talking about Marshawn Lloyd, and somebody asked him why Marshawn left. And he was like, I don't know, dude. I had a conversation with him and his mom right after the Clemson win, and everything seemed to be fine. And something happened. He's like, something changed, and he just left. He's like, I wish him well. Him, Jaheim, I wish everybody. And listen, Shane handled that as classy as anybody could. But I think between having guys leave. Oh, and by the way, for those of you that are keeping score in the Rob Brown Show home edition, you had another transfer. Now, this one was not nearly as big of a deal as Bell and Lloyd, but Corey Rucker is now transferring out. Corey Rucker showed up as a transfer portal import from Arkansas State. Corey Rucker was expected to be a bit of a playmaker there for South Carolina due to a handful of injuries, was limited to just 2 games last year and never really got a chance to get anything going. He caught 1 pass for 52 yards and a touch in SC's win over Charlotte, but that was his only grab of the year. Was very prolific at Arkansas State before he joined USC after a first time in the transfer portal. He was there 1 year, did not get a lot of PT due to injury, and now he's out as well. So Shane has now lost 3 offensive players to the transfer portal, a couple more potentially coming. He lost 2 offensive line recruits 2 days ago, more potentially coming, and exactly 0 people not named Shane Beamer or Dow Loggins were over the moon about the hire for the offensive coordinator spot. I think Shane Beamer is about to enter his first real stretch of adversity, and you, Gamecock fans, are about to learn a heck of a lot about your head coach, because I think he is stressed, and I think you can see it right now. Question mark is going to be, does he break or does he overcome? We'll talk more about that during the rest of the show. Rob Lonzo, the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. Your text, your phone calls next, 844-326-3663, or text your thoughts on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. I think Shane is stretched and stressed for the first time, like truly for the first time, and we're about to see how he reacts. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Lights.
Our guys, stay right there. We'll be right back. Is he holding a ring by chance and barefoot?
No. His wife is dropping him off.
Check out their collection today at smithandjames.com and stop by their store.
Why are you giving Shane junk about how you answered a question? That's not their job to be PR specialists. I get it's part of the job, but everyone's different, just like Wilkes. Not saying they did the best job, but they're doing a good job at what they do best. Again, I've been very happy with Shane Beamer's performance as the head coach of the Gamecocks. He has absolutely already proven me wrong once, Luke, and I hope he does it again, right? Like, I genuinely hope he does it again. I just don't like that hire. I just don't think it's a good hire. I've got zero reason. See, with Beamer, at least I could lean on, he's got a blue blood background. He's been around top tier coaches his entire career. Dow Loggins has failed miserably everywhere he's been as an offensive coordinator. And again, all in the league, but it is what it is.
And that warm nacho cheese sauce you dip them in, go to Taco Bell and order some today. Contact store for participation.
Well, hopefully this time of year next year, you'll be able to say, you know what? I was absolutely wrong about that. What a great hire that was. The Gamecocks took the next step because of that hire. That's just me being optimistic, though,
See, I've told you guys that I give the smoke where the smoke is due. There are no favorites. There are no enemies except the Falcons and the Miami Hurricanes. But outside of that, every team is praised when I do something good and come at when I think something is not good, right? I think people kind of settled into Rob Brown's nice to South Carolina and mean to Clemson. No. When South Carolina does something that I think is a bad decision, they'll catch the smoke too. And the flip side of that is when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Luke just popped into the stream. The stream's up for you at facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, on Twitter at TheFanUpstate, or by searching and subscribing to The Rob Brown Show on YouTube and Twitch. I think y'all fell into Gamecock fans. I think fell into this little safety blanket. Like, okay, Rob's our safe space, and I think Clemson fans kind of fell into all Rob does is hate on us. But I take my smoke when I'm wrong, like I was about the hire of Shane Beamer. And as I've mentioned, the other aspect of this is your team is going to be talked about based on the level of expectation. Clemson's expectations are a national, right? It's a chip. Clemson's expectations are the playoffs as a baseline. And so despite going 10-2, yes, I can absolutely go off on the fact that the Notre Dame game was some of the worst offensive play calling I've seen it out of that program in a number of years. And not playing Cade Klubnik in retrospect, in hindsight, was a mistake, and it cost you the South Carolina game, and you'd have been in the playoffs if you won that game. South Carolina's expectations, if we're being honest with each other, aren't anywhere close to that, right? In fact, you surpassed expectations. The problem is, in surpassing expectations, you know what happens when you surpass expectations? You raise those expectations, right? Any Gamecock's going to be satisfied with 6-6 next year? No. In fact, I would be even willing to guess that some of y'all wouldn't be satisfied with 7-5 next year. Why? Because you won 8-4. That's the new baseline. There are people whose entire work philosophy is do what is the bare minimum and nothing else. Because once you do more than the bare minimum, your boss starts to expect that out of you. And then that becomes your extended effort becomes the bare minimum. And now you've got to extend extra effort just to reach what is the new bare minimum, right? Expectations raise after success. Shane Beamer has raised the expectations at South Carolina, and fair or not, This hire does not seem to meet the mark of what I expected, especially from a guy who told us a couple of weeks ago that he is on the phone with rock star offensive coordinator candidates, with top level OC experts. And my question is, was this your definition of a top tier rock star offensive coordinator? Is there a Gamecock fan out there that thinks this is a rock star hire? Because I don't. And I'm not saying I'm the only one that can set a bar.
All right. So this bothers me for this reason. I mean, can you, and you might be able to do this, but I think your average fan doesn't go, okay, for that team, that's the OC. For that team, that's the OC. For that team, that's the OC. Most of these guys, you don't know who they are. This is just a big deal because Satterfield was so maligned the entire year and everybody wanted him gone. Now he's gone and people had an idea of who they wanted. They never put any names out there, but they had an idea of who they wanted and they didn't get who they wanted. So now everyone's whining and crying about it. And in the end, you get who he hired. Whether it's successful or it's a failure, we won't know yet. And I don't get it. Most people don't know who the OC is at the team that they pull for.
Again, first off, not a fan, so I can tell you exactly what my expectations are. Second off, I don't disagree. You get what you get. But like I said yesterday, this is, to me, the first hire where I think Shane Beamer has accepted an elevated level of responsibility for this ball club, right? I think for the past couple of seasons, it has been easy. It has been easy or possible. I'll use that word instead. It has been possible for Shane Beamer to go, hey, the program was trash when I got here, and I had to take out the trash before I could start cleaning the kitchen. All right, bro, you're cleaning the kitchen with this hire. You are now in charge. You are now the dude. So anyway, to go back to what originally started this, Luke popped into the stream and Luke said, why are you giving Shane junk about how you answered a question? That's not their job to be a PR specialist. I get it's part of the job, but everyone is different. Just like Wilkes, not saying they did the best job, but they're doing a good job at what they do best. Well, as I mentioned, and I appreciate that input, Luke. I sincerely do. As I mentioned, Shane Beamer has already given me a middle finger once about himself. There was a promo running on this station that I intentionally left running for a while after Shane Beamer got hired, where I talked about my criticism of that hire. Said I don't think it's a good hire. You're bringing in a dude that has no experience as a coordinator, forget as a head coach. You're bringing in a guy because of his last name. And Shane Beamer has given me the whole flock in response to that. Shane went, say my name. What's my name? And he gave me the smoke, and I accepted it. I deserve those hands, and I caught those hands because Shane has crushed it so far. But that in and of itself does not mean that I'm not going to question moving forward the decision-making of the guy in charge, right? I think I'm okay at this gig. How many shows have ended with me sending out a tweet going, I apologize to you guys because that show sucked and you deserve better? I was off my game. I didn't have enough prepped, whatever the case might be. That show sucked, and that's on me. A lot. I question everyone and everything. There is nothing in this world that I'm not going to question. Nothing. So, no, I did not call Bill Parcells. Turns out I don't know him. I didn't call Sean Payton. Yeah, we knocked back a couple of bottles of wine a few years ago. Turns out Sean never really called me about personnel decisions, and I didn't do that either.
Hey, I was going to say, but you didn't call him, so that's on you.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I should have popped off a text to Sean. Hey, Sean, how do you feel about Dow Loggins? All I can judge is what is available to me. Here's the reality. I fully expect that Shane Beamer has, shockingly, vetted Dowell Loggins more than I have. You know, what with that being his job and all that.
Are you sure? Are you sure? You're absolutely positive, because I'm sure there are people out there who don't believe that for a second. That's just a defense. There'll be people out there who think that he didn't call any of those people.
I will take the bet that Shane Beamer more thoroughly vetted Dow Loggins than Rob Brown did. I get a very surface level view of Dow Loggins compared to Shane, who spent a lot more time digging through the trenches of his resume.
I am curious, though. I don't recall this much heat on a hire for an offensive coordinator in college football ever anywhere. And maybe we just don't hear about this sort of stuff in other places. But I don't recall hearing about this much media attention to an offensive coordinator. I mean, you've lived other places. Have you heard
here's the
things
reality.
like this before?
Not about 6-6 teams.
Yeah, I don't.
Absolutely about playoff caliber teams. Every time that Nick Saban has changed offensive coordinators, because one of his went up to the league or took a head coaching job somewhere, every time Nick Saban changes offense coordinators, you should hear the radio stations in Mobile, Alabama. Lonzo, they will do 29 to 63 hours a week, and that's the only thing they talk about. The only thing. This is not unusual, because here's the thing. In getting to 8-4, South Carolina has raised itself from an inconsequential, irrelevant college football program into, after beating Tennessee and Clemson back-to-back, a football team that people are paying attention to and expect something out of. And you just hired a guy as an OC who has failed in that job everywhere he's tried it. I get why Shane is being defensive.
Bill Belichick failed in Cleveland. How in the world would the Patriots hire that guy? I mean, that's the go-to for most people.
Do we want to debate retread head coach's success in the NFL? Because that's one. I got a few more retreads that ain't worked out. I'm pretty sure my list is longer.
Wow.
Am I wrong?
I can't believe you went there.
Am I wrong? I'm not wrong. The list of retread coaches in the NFL that have succeeded versus failed is like 3 on one side and all the rest of them on the other.
So you're saying that Dow Loggins just like everybody else?
I have no reason to believe he's not yet. Yet. I will throw that on the end.
Although
Yet.
there has been the argument many times, I've heard it here on this station, about how some guys are NFL guys and some guys are college guys.
Sure.
Maybe he's just a college guy.
Maybe he is. Here's the thing. We got zero way of knowing yet. And I acknowledge that. I got no way of knowing. But my thing is, if you want to go from 8-4 to 9-3, from 8-4 to 10-2, you're going to put a guy in at calling plays that's never done it at this level before? It's a gamble. The dice are in Shane's hand, and in about 10 months, he's going to roll them, and we'll see how they come up. Nat 1, Nat 20, we'll find out. There's like 80% of my audience that were like, what the hell did he just say? It's all right.
I think in the end, you know, 1 is still 1 and 20 is still 20. So we're good.
Kevin says, does the media attention on this hire prove how big beating Clem sucks was? Go Gamecocks and Beamer. Yeah, I mean, it helps. Beating Tennessee and Clemson back-to-back raised you from irrelevance into a program that matters. What do you do from here? That's a question mark. Take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this discussion. Emily Adams going to join us at 10:35, and she'll give us some insight. She was at that press conference yesterday. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
So Dave is a no-go.
Dave is a no-go.
Okay,
We have
all right.
Emily at 10:35, straight into John Harkes, straight into Fight Club.
Gotcha. Okay.
87 winners at Tennessee State. Devin Dunn had 19 points, leading Campbell past William Pierce 97-58. Charleston over Stetson 65-60. Gardner Webb beat Carolina University 120-44. Coastal Carolina over South Dakota 87-86. UAB beat South Carolina 84-70.
Wow, glad that happened during the break.
5-8 streak on the line this Sunday when they host the Steelers. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff in Charlotte. Carolina tied with the Falcons for second in the NFC South. They're still in contention for the division title. The Buccaneers are just 6-7. Panthers kicker Eddie Pinheiro is the NFC Special Teams Player of the Week. Last week he hit all 3 field goal attempts as well as 3 extra points. Furman Paladins basketball plays all season long on the Fan Upstate. Download the Odyssey app, then search the Fan Upstate. Listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
Coming up on Thursday Night Football, the Seattle Seahawks host the 49ers. Last week, Brock Purdy, replacing the injured Jimmy G, led San Francisco to a dominating.
Actually, I could just go in there. I got it.
Now they can solidify control of the NFC West and pick up a 7th straight win. And Ryan Hill.
Product specialist ready to help. Call clickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Don't risk getting stranded with a bad battery. Our professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts will test your battery for free. If your battery does need to be replaced, we'll help you find the best battery for your vehicle and your budget. Don't wait until your battery is dead. Get it tested for free today at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store.
Gas, groceries, vacations, most everything seems to have increased in cost.
Can we just have a weekly Pirates segment? I love Pirates. I do a ton of research about them as well. And while it is not sports, there weren't a lot of sports back then, so catching booty was the sport. Luke, you and I need to have a beer together, buddy. You and I need to sit and have a drink together because I will talk Pirates with you like a lot. I am fascinated by Pirate history. I don't know why. If you ever get the chance, Luke, go over to or go down to St. Augustine, Florida. It was a pirate haven. There is a phenomenal pirate museum there that kind of walks you through. It's a little touristy, but it's really, really good. A ton of artifacts in that building. And it walks you through from the golden age of piracy all the way through pirates and pop culture in America over the years. And it's absolutely fascinating. So if you ever get a chance and you've got a free vacation and you find your way down to Florida, make sure you stop in St. Augustine and go to that pirate museum. It's absolutely spectacular.
You know, there are things that I think of, methods of doing things that I just think should be obvious, and other people don't think that way. Like for fun, he needed to find Christmas music.
Yeah.
And wanted to know where they were. And what I said to do is type in a Christmas song like Frosty the Snowman. Once it comes up, look at the first 3 letters as far as the cart numbers go. And then go to like in this case, it was like XM5 or XL.
Yep.
You just go to then type in XM or XL and see if a bunch of titles come up, because they should, because chances are when I put the Christmas music in, I put a bunch in all in one category. That's that ordered part of me that
So I have been targeted by an ad showing me that Skynet is real. Walmart apparently is selling replicas of the old Giant Eagle WWE Championship belt, the really good one, for like $130, full size replica. And I'm like, I think I'm about to have a lighter wallet. And just so you know that I don't take this so seriously that I fight with people on Anti-Hot Take Radio, the Rob Brown Show. Luke and I spent that entire break discussing Pirates. R.I.P. Mike Leach. He asked if we could do a weekly pirate history segment.
Oh, that would be awesome. I'll have to get some more music for that. Sorry, I missed that. I was taking care of, things elsewhere. But
Yeah, you got to work.
yeah, when you're the guy, or when you think you're the guy,
When you think you're the
when
guy.
you think you're the guy, solving
You want
problems.
to be the guy.
Yeah.
You got to know where songs are stored in the
yeah,
radio
yeah.
system.
Well, it's like it's asking directions from the old guy on the corner. That guy's been here a while. He probably knows where that is.
Texture says, cocky for a reason, says Rob Brown, home edition score. Beamer 1, Rob 0. No, yes, I agree with you. Again, he proved me wrong on him. Doesn't mean I'm not going to, if somebody proves me wrong, it doesn't mean I stop questioning them. It means I go, all right, cool, I was wrong.
I don't know if
That's okay.
if some people prove you wrong, you're going to work to go back at them. But
Right.
that's a personal.
Unless,
thing.
no. The way it should work is if you are proven to be wrong, you should accept it and move on to the next thing, right? There's nothing wrong with being wrong.
How often does what should be actually end up being what it?
Not enough.
Yeah.
Rob Brown Home Show edition, keeping score. USC was 8-4 this year, not 6-6. No, I know. What I said was you were 8-4. Would you accept 6-6 next year? And the answer is you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
You know
The
what?
expectations are raised.
Whether you accept it or not, it won't change the outcome though, because you're just a fan. I mean,
True.
in the end, it doesn't mean it won't hurt, but
Cocky for a reason also says, I will blow you up when he succeeds. Please do.
you should. Because
You
don't
should.
worry, I'll help.
Trust me.
If I'm here, I will help.
People have been blowing me up about me being wrong about Shane Beamer the whole time. And you should. That's fine. I'll own it. Texas says, when you change the culture like Beamer is doing, expectations are raised. It's not a rock star hire, but it's a Hootie and the Blowfish hire that will blow up when he succeeds. That was the end of Cocky for
Yeah,
Reasons.
see,
Text.
the only problem with Hootie and the Blowfish, they were really good till people decided not to like them anymore.
Who doesn't like Hootie and the Blowfish?
They
No,
went
no,
on
wait,
decline
wait.
because fans decided they weren't cool anymore.
Who didn't like who stopped liking Hootie and just said, I'm not a Darius Rucker guy?
It took
Because you can like Hootie
By the
without
way,
liking Darius Rucker
it's
as a solo artist.
It took, if I recall, it took Darius a year or two before he launched his country career. So, I mean, there was a period in there where people didn't like them. I don't know why that is. It just is that way.
I will need your proof of that.
You
I don't
weren't.
believe you.
You weren't. Okay.
Dude, Cracked
How do
Review is a
how do
great
I prove that?
album sales? Show me their album sales.
Well, they stopped making albums, I think.
I'm not doing it. I absolutely am doing a Hootie and the Blowfish segment. Yes, I will do that.
Remember where you are. It would be a popular segment.
Texture says, Rob, Saban, Spurrier, Meyer are fighting for the title of the worst NFL coach of all time, but they did pretty good in the NCAA. Again, I guess some of the things I say maybe aren't coming across y'all's radio speakers.
You don't have to hit that thing that
That was a
hard.
tap.
Yeah, I know, but I'm worried. We're down some engineers. So I mean,
It's okay. Apparently, I can reach this mic.
Yeah, if I turn it on. Yeah. But you probably shouldn't because it's somebody else's, thing.
Let me say again, because I guess perhaps and just maybe I said these words into the mic and the great Skynet filter took them out before they got to your speakers.
Maybe say it quieter.
There are a lot of coaches who were very good in college and failed at the NFL. There were a lot of coaches who were very good in the NFL and failed in college. There is a very, very very small subsection of coaches who were good at both.
Man, I hate that. That's so condescending. It's so
Right, but it's also correct. Dowell Loggins might be a great offensive coordinator. Might be. But if you are Shane Beamer, you want to be maximizing the chances that you get back to 8-4 or improve to 9-3 or 10-2 next year. Does Dowell Loggins maximize that opportunity? I don't think so. But the deal is signed, the ink is dried, and we will find out come around mid to late October of next year if he is the dude or not. Okay? There you go. Texas said, of course, it was directed at Rob. He is a Gamecock fan. After all, it's the only program that gets a beat reporter to do a segment on his boat show. You know what I love about that is the insult, Zoe, while he uses an inside joke that only hardcore listeners of the show would get. Let's take a break. Come back. Hour number 2 is just around the corner on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Oh, my friends, drive a low rider. A low rider. Why is that in my head?
Yeah, I was waiting to see if you knew the next lyric or not.
I don't. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum.
I'm guessing you guys did not cover Lowrider.
No.
It's not a
It's
it's not a vocal powerhouse.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know. Do you ever owned a Lowrider?
Do what?
Have you ever owned a Lowrider?
No.
I did when I weighed almost 400 pounds. Good night, everybody.
I tried to
Good
be a
night.
tip your waitress.
Good night.
Let's see. I have owned in high school. I drove a 1992 Cadillac Seville with about 180,000 miles on it when I got it. Out of high school, I owned a 2003 Honda Accord LX. I went when the Accord died. I went to a 1991 Buick Skylark for a couple of years, and then I got the Jeep.
That's not that many vehicles. Good for you.
I drive them into the ground.
Of course, I have been around a lot longer, so that probably would, be a reason. And being from a certain, social status, I was unable to purchase,
Can't all be 1%.
I know.
If everybody was 1%, nobody would be.
I would like to get there eventually just to see what it's like.
It's overrated.
So says the guy on that side of the tracks.
That side of the track.
You don't want to come over here. The grass looks
That
greener. It's
side
not
of the
really
track.
greener. My first car was a 77 Camaro. Had a gray door.
It's a dope opening ride.
Had my uncle gave it to me because his grandson said, no, I don't want that. And I said, yeah, I'll take it. I was in just got to college, had no car. Yeah, I'll take it. And it had a bunch of Bondo on it. And I
Had
put
a bunch of Bondo
put a 10 and a 15 in the trunk because that's all would fit back there. And every time we would stop at a red light, we would laugh and say death by
rattle.
stereo because pieces of the car would fall off. It had snow tires on it I'd had so many blowouts. It was, yeah. And shotgun for the friends meant a whole lot more in that car.
It meant when you were
'Cause-
riding, you had to actually hold the shotgun.
No, it meant you had to be in that little bitty back seat and no one wanted to be back there. So I think the Camaros now, the back seat's smaller.
I bet you played DJ Magic Mike's Feel the Bass.
No, I'm further back than that. It's back when bass first started, back when everyone first started getting the 10s and 15s. And I was playing Too Short and NWA and stuff like that.
You played NWA?
Remember where I lived. I also was back when breakdancing first started. I mean, every time the wrestling team would go somewhere, they would
Lonzo always had cardboard in his trunk. No reason.
No, I didn't actually participate, but every time the wrestling team would go somewhere, they would breakdance before the match. And we went to a bunch of ritzy northern Ohio schools, and they had never seen it before. So it was always amazing to those guys. It was a lot of fun.
Isn't breakdancing like going to be an Olympic sport soon?
I believe so. Also, one of my, believe it or not, Milli Vanilli killed it. I mean, the bass line in Milli and that entire album, it was, I mean, back when that was first starting. It sounded good in the car. That's all I care about. I had a Yamaha amp. I forget what size it was. That's when everyone was experimenting and trying to learn how to do all that stuff too. So there's always a stereo guy in the neighborhood who knows how to do stuff. Always one of those guys.
My high school everybody had a stereo guy. And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. Hour numero dos of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob. The great one, Lonzo's on the other side of the metaphorical glass. Coming up in about 40 minutes from now, right now, we will be joined by Emily Adams. She covers the Gamecocks for the Greenville News. She was in Shano's presser yesterday. And let me say one last thing before I move on from this. I may not agree with his decision. Lonzo, I absolutely loved Shane Beamer's pass. You know what? Can we play that clip again? And then we'll be done with it. All right? We did an hour on it. I feel like that's more than enough. But I do want to hear it one more time because I love Shane's passion, fire, fervent defense of his own decision. You can tell this matters to him. And even if I disagree with him, I appreciate that.
So surely everybody that wants to critique every hire that we make here, I'm sure you guys knew that Dow Loggins turned down a coordinator job in the SEC last year, correct? Everybody knew that, right? I'm sure you guys know that I'm the fourth SEC head coach that's reached out to him in the last 2 weeks about coming to work for him. So we were fortunate to hire Dow Loggins because there were a lot of other people that were interested in hiring Dow Loggins as well. I'm sure you guys reached out to Bill Parcells, who Dow worked for. Anybody? I'm sure the people on the outside, all the experts on social media, I'm sure they called Sean Payton, arguably one of the greatest NFL coaches of all time, to talk to Sean Payton about Dow. I'm sure you reached out to Kyle Shanahan, the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. All those guys are guys that Dow worked for. Did you call Connor Shaw? Alshon Jeffrey Dow coached Alshon Jeffrey with the Chicago Bears. And I'll keep my conversation with Alshon private, but it was pretty dang special what he told me. I talked to John Fox, former head coach of the Carolina Panthers, Chicago Bears, Denver Broncos, about Dow. Clyde Christensen, current quarterbacks coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Sylvester Croom, longtime NFL coach who just went into the Hall of Fame for college football last week. James Franklin, current head coach at Penn State. Stan Drayton, current head coach at Temple University. All people that he worked with or Dow was the coordinator for. So we hired a big-time coach and couldn't be more excited about hiring Dow. And the text messages that I got from people that he's worked with or coached over the last however many years in the NFL validate that for sure.
Yeah, Rob, suck it. Take that. Shane Beamer, we got something, fool. I just got tired of doing what you told me to do. That's the breaks, Rob. That's the breaks, little man. Break it down. Burn it down. But Shane Beamer, like, I know he wasn't coming at Rob Brown, but Lonzo, if that wasn't a presser, right? If that got caught on somebody's cell phone and I played that for you and I was like, this dude told me he was saying this about me. There's like a small part of you that would have been like, that makes sense.
By the way,
out.
you think I'm joking. It wouldn't shock me that it's not directed towards you and because I want to believe that.
Again,
because it makes it more powerful to me that is directed towards you. I'd like that.
I'm just saying, man. If that was not a presser that was recorded on somebody's phone, and I said that was about us, there's a small part of Zoe that would have been like, maybe so.
All I know is the majority of the coaches that he's mentioned seem to be people who are straight shooters and would tell you like it is if they like the guy or not. I don't know if you've ever had to had phone calls about references before, which I've had to do about former employees. If they call you about someone you don't think deserves to work anywhere ever in their entire life, are you going to talk the same way? I mean, you're not going to say, oh, that guy was bad, please don't hire him, that type of thing. You're going to give the jargon, well, yes, he showed up to work on time. I don't think those guys are the kind of, I don't think Parcells is the kind of guy who goes, yes, he was never late to meetings. I think Parcells is a guy who's going to tell you, yeah, dude, he's not good.
All right. So let me get to something else I saw yesterday. I was perusing the internet last night, which, by the way, another real brief aside, because that's what we do here. Instagram, Lonzo, rolled out a new feature yesterday. And on this feature,
I'm too old for Instagram. They have a limit.
So on this feature, Lonzo, which is, I don't know, interesting, I guess. On this feature, well, they just apparently they took it off of mine. But on this feature, when you opened up, like, you have everybody's stories across the top, right? And those are basically just like people put up a little picture. It stays up there. There's old Cody Decker at the Craig Carton Show studios. Anyway, on those, you could put up a status update, right? It's a little 100-character-ish message where you could just tell people what you're thinking right now. Like AOL Instant Messenger had 30 years ago, right? And yesterday, when this thing rolled out, I was on the social media and I saw somebody like, a status update. What a great idea from Instagram. How has nobody thought about this yet? And I got 26 new gray hairs when I read that. Dude, that was our thing like 32 years ago. 32 years ago, we were doing that. My message read, ASL, question mark? Courtney's was BRB, mom needs the computer. Like, it's so dumb. All right. Anyway, Myles Murphy has opted out of Clemson's bowl game. Myles Murphy has decided not to play the junior defensive end decided that he is going to skip the bowl game.
That
And
good,
head
Mike
to the-
Murphy. Why he go? We don't need him there at Clemson. And go Tigers. Dabo don't need him because we don't need no Miles Murphy. I'm not gonna wish him well because he's no longer a Tiger. Whatever. Goodbye. By the way, can that be the new beat writer that we have on for Clemson? Because I'm willing to do some research.
Why did you not say that to me off the air, Lonzo? You should have said that to me off the air.
It's all right. It's
Might
all
do it
right.
anyway.
It's all right. We could do that. Anyway.
Might do it anyway. All right.
How much hate is directed towards this guy now because he has chosen to not play for those mighty Tigers?
Well, let me tell you one of the comments that I saw yesterday. Here's a comment I saw. This is, quote, an individually selfish decision, end quote.
How dare he? Someone must have wrote that for him because that's too well written.
I'm not saying where that comment came from. I'm just saying that was the comment. Individually selfish decision, end quote. Now, Miles Murphy is a first-team All-ACC selection. Miles Murphy is a projected first-round NFL draft pick. And he is the first healthy player to skip a bowl game under Dabo Swinney.
He must no longer be family.
Murphy will not be with Clemson when they play Tennessee December 30th at the Orange Bowl at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Swinney, when asked about the decision by Miles Murphy to opt out, said, and I quote, "I'm not surprised. He's a great player, and I think will be a pretty high draft pick. I think he's going to test well and work out well and all those things and be a great player for a long time. He contemplated things, whether or not he was going to come back or go pro, and then whether or not to play in the game. All those things weighed heavily on him. He didn't make the decision on a whim. That's not who he is," end quote.
Good for him. Go make your money, kid.
Miles Murphy, when he signs his contract next April in the National Football League, I just want y'all to know, and you'll have to pardon me for going like full hip hop diss track on you right here. Miles Murphy's signing bonus will be worth more than anybody who has used the word individually selfish decision makes in 5 years. Okay? So you can say what you want to say. But Miles Murphy's individually selfish decision is going to get him a signing bonus. That is 5 to 10 years salary for most of the people who are calling it a, quote, individually selfish decision. But here's the other part of that got me. The question got asked if this is, quote, cracks forming in Dabo's culture, end quote. I'm like genuinely flabbergasted for two reasons. Number one, this take, Lonzo, this take boiled it down to there are two options here. It is either A, an individually selfish decision, or B, a crack forming in Dabo's culture. What if I told you there's a third option?
I was gonna say, why couldn't it be both of those?
Why couldn't it be neither of those?
Could be that dude realizes that the crop of players in his position is less this year in the NFL, and he's got a better shot to be drafted, and it's time to go get paid.
Correct.
Or maybe there's a fear of Tennessee in there. I don't know. Could be.
No. I do know. You know what I know? His signing bonus is 8 years of my salary. That's what I know.
That'd make it 25 of mine.
This dude, when he scratches that contract in April, is going to make, with a stroke of a pen, what I make in a decade. Okay? Dabo's culture is just fine. It's just fine. It is remarkable that this is the first player under Dabo Swinney to opt out of the bowl game while healthy. Right? That's spectacular. You know what also that means? It means that the overwhelming of the bowl games that Dabo's played in have been playoff games or BCS games, whatever.
You can look at it that way, but there's also another way to look at this. Opting out is still fairly a new thing. And we talked about sample size when it comes to a lot of things. It's fairly a new thing. And that when it first started happening, people are like, oh, this won't be the norm, but it's starting to be the norm.
First off, it is not the norm. There are 100+ kids on a roster. Some teams have like 5 opt out, right? And the majority of the ones that do opt out are like Jalen Wyatt. And Jalen Wyatt, by the way, opted out for Tennessee. Why? Because fat stacks, bro.
By the way, the norm does not necessarily mean it's a bad thing that they're starting to do this, because bowl games are meaningless except for the playoff. Now, in the future, when we get the 12-team playoff, maybe some of these kids who are opting out now won't opt out because they know they got a chance at a national championship.
Let me read you some of the other comments that are attached to this. Andrew Price said, quote, he's still a kid and it's a game. Some of y'all need to get a perspective on life. Nathan.
He's about to be a rich kid is what he's about to be. Good for him.
Justin Hartman said, it's a meaningless bowl game. The kid's projected to be the second defensive end taken in the draft. He doesn't owe anyone anything. Go duke it out against Tennessee and their second string team. No, go get your money. Congratulations. Correct. You are asking it. If you call this dude if this kid's individually selfish, I am a complete bleep hole. Okay? If Myles Murphy is individually selfish because he has opted not to play a game where his prize would be, I'm an Orange Bowl champion, because signing bonus of $22 million, then I am a complete boathead, because I would never talk to any of you again for $22 million. I would mail Zoe a check for like $500,000. I'd mail my boss a check for like $500,000, and you punks that never hear from me again.
I
Why is Rob's
that.
Twitter deleted? Because Rob don't exist no more. He's off the grid.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would do that. I do think next time a raise is offered to someone, that they should say no, because that would make them individually selfish.
Yeah.
If they chose to take more money, because, or if a new job came along, that opportunity was there and you'd make more money, you can't go there because that would be individually selfish. And you don't want to, I mean, you got to be a man of the people, or woman that, I don't know who this is, but you got to be that person of the people, like what you expect these guys to be.
Kevin Linder says, really a thin line, or someone explain? USC and Clemson play their hearts out. Players got hurt, one thrown out helmet to helmet. Never was a moment they all did not put their hearts and bodies into the game. Why not want to continue for one more game? How does that fear not show up earlier? It's like the worst bowl game starts of friendly. Here's why, Kevin. $22 million. It's not that hard to comprehend. To comprehend.
It's not that hard to comprehend, yo.
I am so flabbergasted by all of this. So flabbergasted.
Compressing a word. I mean, in today's age, you can have it trending and it will be a word by the end of the week, which is tomorrow. Yeah.
What we do. Because if Clemson wins their final game of the year, what happens? They're in a playoff game, right? They're in a playoff game. If he blows his knee out in that game, he looks at that point and he goes, I was playing for a national championship, right? And again, that's up to him. There have been, not many, but a couple of players who have been like, yeah, I'm not gonna finish out the season. Once we're out of the playoff hunt, I'm not gonna finish up the season. It's their life. Texter says, Where'd the other one go? Well, I'll come back to it. I forgot. Anyway, forget about it. The kid's not selfish. There is no cracks in Dabo's culture. 20, and I'm making up a number for his signing bonus, right? But a rookie contract for a first-round draft pick is lucrative. Lucrative. Texture says, Rob, I can't believe that this player doesn't share the same loyalty I have for a school I never went to and doesn't know I exist. He's the worst. He's what's wrong with this generation. I'm going to love anything as passionately as older fans love saying, that's what's wrong with this next generation. Yeah. That's it. That's it. Because finally a generation went, yeah, I have a higher value than this, and recognize that. Whatever, dude. I'm not worried about it. Miles Murphy's not worried about it. Jalen Wyatt's not worried about it because they're about to get paid. End of conversation. There are no cracks in Dabo's culture. A kid's got an opportunity to make tens upon tens of millions of dollars, and he's moving on. I got into this on a comment thread yesterday because I was bored. And as Alonzo will tell you, if Rob gets bored, Rob goes trolling on the internet.
Yes, he does.
It's an amazing pastime.
That's what he does.
So I was on a a yahoosports.com article about South Carolina's transfer issues, right? As South Carolina has had another guy transfer out. We told you about this back in the last hour. Corey Rucker, the wide receiver, is transferred out as well, joining Jaheim Bell and Marshawn Lloyd. And a guy said on that article, in fact, let me see if I can go find that comment that was back up there, because I laughed at it. Let's see if I can. It's not there. Anyway, guy said something along the lines of, "There's no loyalty anymore. These guys aren't loyal to the program." Loyalty is given when it is earned. If you want kids to be loyal to the program, give them a program worth being loyal to. Right? Figure out what's important to that kid and give them something to be loyal to. Some kids, playing time is the most important thing of all. You either make a way for them to play or you expect them to leave. To some kids, having a situation where they can make a little extra scratch is the most important thing to them. Help them create that situation or watch them leave. To some kids, having a coach that says what he's going to do and does what he says he's going to do and is honest is the most important thing. You better find that coach for him, right? Every kid, we talked about the concept of compensation earlier this week. When I say compensation, most people think immediately money, but money is not the only thing you are compensated with. There are lots of forms of compensation. If you want a guy to be loyal to you, be true to your school, Beach Boys. If you want them to be true to their school, like you are, give them a reason to be. And if you don't give them, don't expect them just to be loyal because, well, I love them. I love my school. Why doesn't this kid? But dude, most guys getting recruited, they do what? They put, these are my final 5 schools, right? And half the time, like 2 to 4 of those schools are direct rivals. How many recruits you seen in the last 3 or 4 years, Lonzo, that go to National Signing Day and they sit up at the desk in their high school gymnasium and they got an Ohio State and a Michigan hat in front of them? A lot. I used to cover high school recruiting down in the Florida Panhandle. You know how many kids I would go to the high school gymnasium in February and they would sit down at the dumb desk with the dumb hats in front of them and they had a Florida State and a Florida hat. And you're like, bro, like, pick, like, it's a rivalry, right?
I just, recruiting's not the same as it used to be. And part of it is because of transfer portal. So, I mean, because I think it takes away from it. Yeah, I'm going here. I may not be there the following year, whether you like that or not. I think it has lessened. There used to be like on signing day, nonstop on ESPN. Do you see that anymore? No, because it doesn't mean the same.
No, I think it's because phrase that. My hypothesis is because you've got to a point where people don't care anymore. Like, I don't need to sit and watch the 5-star running back put on his dumb hat. I'll just see it when he announces it.
I feel bad for
I got
those
social media.
I feel bad for the guys who are that recruiting is their religion. I mean, that's all they do every year. And I'm not just talking about radio people. I'm talking about people that's all they want to talk about.
All those resources
Yeah.
are still available.
Yeah, but it's got to mean a whole lot less
Still
for
sign
them
up
too.
for 24/7 or Rivals or Scout or whatever. Here's all I'm going to say. By the way, we talked about, like, I've heard so many conversations about, like, what can you do? Here's an idea. You want kids to be loyal for 4 years? Start offering 4-year guaranteed contracts, scholarships. Because athletic scholarships are 1-year deals, right? 1-year deals.
Yeah, but the problem with that, if you go with 4-year, unless you have the option to opt out each year, then people are probably not going to take that because they don't want to be locked into a school when they know they can go somewhere else.
The point is, for always, the schools have had the opportunity after a year to say, you're not part of this program anymore. You aren't going to play on this football team anymore. We're moving on from you. But the players haven't had the ability to say, I'm not playing here anymore. Do you see how that's lopsided?
Again, 4-year contract, I don't think would work because I don't think people will sign up
I don't
for
think it would either. But the point is to shine a light on that. All right, let's take a break. We got more of this coming up. Speaking of the transfer portal, hey, guess what? Dabo's got another transfer quarterback on campus this week. Uh-oh. If I was told Dabo was never going to use the portal and that if he didn't, the Clemson program was going to go down in a hailstorm of fire and brimstone and be wiped from the place like face of the planet or something like that.
This is erroneous reporting. It can't be true.
I bet I can tell you who it is when we come back. And then after that, Emily Adams of the Greenville News. And then after that, John Hartz of the Greenville Triumph. And then after that, Lonzo takes over for Fight Club. What a day, boys and girls, on the Rob Brown Show. And the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, got a live read sponsorship. Stay right here. We will be right back.
One Spartanburg and online at Odyssey.com and the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate.
It's all right. We wouldn't really say anything anyway. So, we're good.
The Rob Brown Show.
There's PBS back in the day. Did you ever watch PBS? I still watch PBS all the time. PBS at night used to run these little like groovy animations when they had nothing to put on the air. This reminds me of that. Back when I used to watch Nova for entertainment because I'm a dork.
Yeah. I don't think they played this on Nova, though.
All right, real quick segment here because we have got Emily Adams of the Greenville News joining us in the very next segment. But before we get to that, I have heard over and over and over and over and over and over that the Clemson Tigers were on the brink of the program apocalypse. That the Clemson Tigers were on their downfall because, you know, if Dabo Swinney doesn't start using the portal, that program might as well go FCS, right? That program might as well go D2. That program might as well start lining up games against Samford and Jackson State because those are the only teams they'll be competitive with. Because Dabo is too stubborn to use the portal. Welp. According to a report by TigerNet.com, former Alabama and Arizona State quarterback Paul Tyson was on campus yesterday and attended Clemson's afternoon practice where he watched the team's quarterbacks and chatted with offensive player development coach and former Clemson quarterback Cole Stout. Tyson is a former four-star 2019 recruit and the great-grandson of a dude you may have heard of that went by the first name Bear. Tyson went to Alabama, obviously, as a legacy dude, right? Bear Bryant's great-grandson. Now, Clemson said that they could not confirm the presence of Tyson on campus because they cannot comment on unsigned players, including prospective high school recruits and transfers. Early portions of Clemson's Tuesday and Wednesday practice leading into the Orange Bowl were open to media, but no media jumped out with a report that they saw Tyson there. And frankly, a lot of them probably wouldn't have known him if they did see him. Clemson's pursuit of Tyson, who has 1 year remaining of eligibility as a graduate transfer, is obviously a need for a program that is short on quarterbacks. The Tigers do have Cade Klubnik, a true freshman, who in the ACC championship game looked real good. Of course, against the 116th ranked passing defense in football, but nonetheless, he did more than he was expected to do. But after Klubnik, you got question marks. DJ Uiagalelei has headed into the portal. Billy Wiles, the backup, he has hit the portal now as well. So Clemson is down to 3 scholarship quarterbacks: Klubnik, backup Hunter Johnson, and former walk-on Hunter Helms. They also have Trent Pearman, a true freshman walk-on, on the roster as well.
Did you say Hunter Helms?
Hunter Helms. I did.
Okay. It's a cool name.
Johnson, a 6-year quarterback who started his career at Clemson, transferred to Northwestern and then transferred back to Clemson last offseason. He will run out of eligibility at the end of this month, which will bring that number down even further. So Clemson's got other recruits that are coming in, but there is a notable lack of veteran presence at the quarterback position on this roster, which is why, stop the presses, Dabo's recruiting a transfer portal quarterback. So perhaps, reports of Clemson's demise may have been prematurely reported.
Will a reporter go up and ask Dabo why he has changed his mind about the transfer portal and why he's now using it?
No.
Yeah, those guys don't get to stay in the room, probably, more
No.
than likely.
So, no. Anyway, as I told you on Monday, Dabo is prowling the portal. Maybe, just maybe, people should not panic. Let's take a break. We come back. Emily Adams, Greenville News, covers the Gamecocks. She was in that press conference yesterday that we played you the clip from Shane Beamer. We will get her feeling about the tone in the room next on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Warehouse.
All right, guys, got to read. Be right back. Don't go nowhere. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. We are very pleased and very privileged to welcome back to the radio broadcast the friend of the show. Been a few weeks. We've all been on vacation since the end of the season. She covers the Gamecocks for the Greenville News over in Columbia, South Carolina. She is the ever so pleasant and ever so wonderful Emily Adams here on the show. Emily, it's good to have you back, young lady.
Hey, Rob. Yeah, glad absolutely nothing has happened in Gamecock world since we last talked. It's been, slow news the whole way.
Yeah, how have you been getting through life with it being ever so boring in Columbia as of late?
Gosh, yeah, it's been wild. I really briefly thought that, I was like, okay, regular season's over. We got a month till the bowl game. Just got to deal with signing day, portal stuff, no big deal. And, everything hit the fan immediately.
Listen, we really, I don't think have even gotten a chance to speak since the Clemson game, which was obviously an enormous win. And we will go back and revisit that at some point. But the hot take, Emily, has all been about that press conference yesterday. And I got a couple of questions for you. But before we do, what was the vibe in that room when Shane came out and dropped a WWE caliber promo on everybody, getting heated about the criticism of the hire of Dow Loggins? What was the vibe in the room when Shane walked in, I'm assuming with like pyro and entrance music hitting?
Yeah, it was really weird. It was a really weird press conference. I think, we all the media who were in that room, almost all of us were at the Board of Trustees meeting the day before, when it had become official. We had all talked about it a lot. None of us were high on the hire. I think a lot of us remain not super high on the hire, but, I expected him to come in with like a little bit of an attitude because, every time there has been sort of widespread, public criticism of the program, that is how he comes into the conference. But that was a level that I was not prepared for. It was almost funny at points. It was the vibes were very strange. Really, really weird vibe in the room.
Talk to me about that because we've talked about the hire of Dow Loggins, right? And my take on it was I think fairly had a bar set of like 6-6, maybe 7-5 if things went well. You got not only to 8-4, but you took out a top 5 team and then you took out your in-state rivals and killed their playoff chances on the way out the door. The good news is you exceeded expectations, but along with exceeding expectations comes the fact that those are the new expectations. And for a team with 8-4 expectations and on an upward climb, Dow Loggins kind of felt like the air came out of a balloon in terms of a hire, but Shane was up there defending that hire like he feels like he just hit a grand slam with that hire. Where do you fall on the caliber of Dow Loggins as a hire as the offensive coordinator spot, and B, the passion that Shane Beamer showed in defending that hire? Did we lose Emily Adams? I think we did. All right, we'll see if we can get Emily back real quick. Emily Adams is beat reporter for the Greenville News based over in Columbia, joins us traditionally weekly on the show. She's been out for the past couple of weeks as we have been on vacations and whatnot. We are glad to have her back. We'll see if we can get her plugged back up here in a second. And I'll just continue that thought until we do. Like I said, it just feels like, and this part is a compliment to South Carolina. And I think we've got Emily back up and ready to go. So Emily, I'll reset that question and then get your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the caliber hire of Dow Loggins? Do you feel like I do that it was kind of underwhelming? And then B, what is your reaction? Aside from what a weird presser, what is your reaction to how hard in the paint Shane Beamer went to defend that hire?
Yeah, I will say on Loggins, I definitely felt better about the hire after he spoke yesterday than I did coming into the presser. I agree. I think it wasn't, what a lot of fans and media were expecting, just based on the way that Shane had been talking about, the candidates that they had. You're expecting the hot name just based on, the way that was marketed and sold by him, what they were doing in the search. And, Dow Loggins, he might be great at the college level. We don't know. He's never called plays at the college level, which is something that it seemed at first like Shane was really looking for. And, his play calling career in the NFL didn't go great, and some of that is that he was tied to Adam Gase, which is a recipe for failure. But I think, he's just very unproven and untested at this point. And I think, I don't know that it's a bad hire, but I think they've given themselves a very small margin for error in that if Loggins isn't successful, it immediately reflects poorly on Shane and on the program because, I think if they went out and hired someone with play calling experience, someone who was a hot name, and it didn't work out, then you can kind of go, okay, it didn't work out. With Loggins, this seems like, a decision that Shane made. Shane picked the guy that he wanted, who was not necessarily, the popular pick. And so now kind of his success or failure, I think, really is going to rest heavy on Shane's shoulders. And I think part of why he came in so hot yesterday was because that has been talked about. And I think that, I think what was frustrating for me about the way he came into that press conference was, him to come, especially like at the media, like, oh, well, I'm sure you guys called Kyle Shanahan and called Sean Payton. And like, no, we didn't call Sean Payton. So the South Carolina local media does not have Sean Payton on speed dial. So that was for me. I was like, yeah, Shane, like you have the ability to call up an NFL coach. The rest of us don't, and they pay us to have opinions about it. So we have to go off of what's out there, and what's out there is a pretty unsuccessful NFL career and very little college experience. So, I was like, for him to say that I think the takes were unreasonable, I think is just incorrect, based on the knowledge that we as the general public have. But I get it. I get where it was coming from. I think, for some fans, it was probably reassuring to see him come in with that much, intensity and support for his guy. But I'm still skeptical of it. It didn't give me more confidence in Shane or in Dow. What gave me more confidence in Dow was the way that Dow spoke. And, to me, he came across very thoughtful in the way he wants to approach the job. He was willing, I think, to acknowledge the areas where he doesn't have experience, where he feels like his experiences will kind of marry to help him navigate this. So I was really impressed with him and the answers that he gave. So he gave me much more confidence in him than Shane did.
Yeah, it's interesting because you kind of said the same thing I did, right? Like Alonzo was like, well, I mean, we didn't call Sean Payton. It was like, yeah, well, it turns out I don't really have that access. But what I do know is that Dow Loggins has, as a play caller, failed everywhere he's been. Now, again, a lot of guys are successful in the league and not at college. A lot of guys are successful at college, but not in the league. But I don't think being around those guys, like when Shane was around Frank Beamer and he was around Nick Saban and he was around all these great college coaches. So, you could go, okay, he was around successful head coaches and now he is one. Dow Loggins was at Arkansas for a couple of years. That doesn't mean he's got real world head coaching, hands-on experience like Beamer did. So I have even less faith that he's ready than I did that Beamer was ready. And I wasn't really I didn't really super believe that Shane Beamer was ready for that spot either.
Yeah, well, and I think it's interesting. I mean, even just looking at Loggins' NFL record, like you said, and I said this yesterday, the huge looming question about him is just going to be whether he can call plays in college. And we're not going to know that until week 1 of next year and maybe after that. But I think when you look at his NFL career, Shane talked about yesterday, the year that Jay Cutler got hurt and how, there's so many circumstances in the NFL that affect your performance and all of that. But, the year Jay Cutler got hurt was one of Dow Loggains' most successful offenses in the NFL. It was one of his only ones that didn't finish in the bottom 5 of the league in total yards. So I don't know. I almost don't know what to make of it in some ways. Like it feels like such an offbeat hire, as much as Shane was like, oh, he turned down an SEC job last year and he, turned down SEC jobs this year. It feels like everything about him is such an unknown. There's no NFL experience. I feel like translates so poorly to the college level so much of the time that I don't know what parameters to judge him on other than that.
Yeah.
But we're in a very weird spot right now. And especially, with the offensive weapons they've lost in the portal and, all of that, I think it's going to be a weird situation for a guy with his level of experience to come into.
Emily Adams reports for the Greenville News. You are the best. We're glad to have you back, and we'll do it again next week because we got a lot more to get into. Thank you, Miss Emily.
Thanks, Rob.
You got it. That is Emily Adams of the Greenville News. We're back with John Harkes of the Greenville Triumph after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Insurance gives you protection on the phone, online, or on the app 24/7 because things happen 24/7. Get a quote at progressive.com. UCLA now has permission from the University of California system to leave the Big Ten, but there is a caveat. They found that
We're probably going to be not waiting on Harksey forever, but waiting. So if we need to run a minute or too long to make up, that's good. That's on me. Sorry.
What?
I said I'm waiting on Harks. He's going to get on the stream.
Oh, okay.
So if we need to push back a minute or whatever to make up, that's totally fine.
I don't understand what you're saying about pushing back a minute.
The start of the next hour.
Okay.
Head coach Mike Malone.
I had no idea that we were close to breaking the record. DeAndre Jordan pointed out around 3:30 to go in the game, and I was shocked. You don't see that number very often.
The Magic, meanwhile, had a 50-point first quarter in their 135-124 win over the Hawks. I'm Andrew Bogish.
Hey, it's Amy Lawrence. Be sure to listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Just ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio. CBS Sports Radio.
I thought learning a language.
Yeah, I just got 2 texts. The audio's on. Be right back. We're waiting on John Harkes.
Hey guys.
Now you
Listen,
got to unmute.
I've only been streaming for a year and a half. I'll figure out how to do this one day. What's up, Coach?
Hey, what's up, Rob? How are you, buddy?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. Yeah, I'm doing all right.
Glad to hear it. How you enjoying the cup? Not bad, huh?
It's been great, man. It's been great. Some excellent games, some upsets, some underdog stories. It's and our guys did well getting out of the group stage, which was very good. So you can't forget about them. Did well.
Yeah,
it was all right.
Still got about a minute.
Perfect. Oh, what was I? I'm getting old, man. I can't remember a thing I thought about a minute ago. Coach, I'm gonna have to come train with you boys and get my life back in shape, man. I'm gonna come run the pitch a few times, get my life together.
Yeah, we can do that. we can arrange that. We have ways.
Yeah.
I don't think cardio is going to turn back the years. I don't think it is.
I'd make it 3 minutes with the fellas, and I would be falling out. Coach would be using his first sub in the first 98 seconds.
We'll be, we'll ease you into it, Rob. We'll take care of you. Intermittent training. You're in for a minute, you're back out.
Intermittent. I train once a year. That's it. The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show starts now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is great to have you all with us here on the radio broadcast. I am Rob Brown. Directly across from me on the other side of the glass, metaphorically speaking, is the Alpha and the Omega of the Fan Upstate, the one who does his best to keep me in check and is successful like 97.5% of the time, the great Lonzo, and now joining us live on the stream and on the air, he is the head coach of your Greenville Triumph. He is a two-time World Cup participant and a member of the National Soccer Hall of Fame. He is my buddy on and off the air. Mr. John Hartz joins us on the show. Coach, how we doing, big dog?
Doing well, Rob. Thank you for having me. Great to be back on again. What was all this 97% talk you were just saying? What happened to the other 3%?
Coach, I feel like if one of your guys comes off the pitch and has a grade of 97.5, he's man of the match. So Lonzo's doing a good job keeping me in check, is all I'm saying.
All right. Okay. Very cool. You're not making it easy on him, are you?
No, never.
No.
Never. Lonzo's about to sprain his neck, shaking his head no. Obviously.
Yeah, for a minute there, I thought you had a Rangers jersey on there. What?
No, as a matter of fact, this is a Carolina hockey jersey that I picked up for myself for Christmas because, Coach, I'm well-rounded and I do all the sports. Like I gotta be on top of my game everywhere.
I love it, man. I love it. I'm hoping New York Rangers can start getting it together.
Now we're going to skip right past the World Cup and just talk NHL with John Hartz at this point. Yeah. Let's talk World Cup for just a minute, Coach, if you don't mind. Wanted to have you on to get into where we are with the tournament. And obviously, let's talk U.S. men's national team. To me, Coach, they did what I expected, which is get out of group stage, right? I didn't win the group would have been spectacular, would have obviously provided a much easier route to the quarterfinals if we'd have caught Senegal instead of the Netherlands, a very good Netherlands team. But the expectation was to get out of the group. My question for you was, as a fan, and we'll get to the manager side of it in a minute, as a fan, A, is that good enough? And B, with us hosting the next one, is it time for us as fans to elevate our expectation to getting out of group play isn't enough? We need to make a run to the second round next tournament.
Well, I mean, look, Rob, I mean, we always want the best, for our national team. and I think managing the expectations is really important, especially when you look at, we didn't make the 2018 World Cup, so there's been a big absence there, and now we get back with a young group, and you have to be careful not to put too much pressure on them, not to perform. They know what they're doing when they get to the national team level. Certainly things are spelled out, and those conversations I've had, but what you don't want to do is put this unexpected kind of pressure on them to not just get out of the group stage, but then to advance forward. Anything's possible in the World Cup, and we know that. And sometimes you get a little bit of luck as well on a bounce or off the post, or even in another game, you get a different result. If you think back to Bruce Arena and the furthest they went in the quarterfinals in his days back in 2002, we actually got through because somebody else crushed another team. And so you're like, okay, that works, but our team did well. You have to keep in mind they were undefeated in the group stage, and everybody will be like, yeah, okay, Hark, so you could spin it any way you want. Yeah, we lacked a lot of final third, power up front. We didn't have that goal scoring threat. That's an issue. Certainly going forward, I think it needs to be something that you're always looking to improve on and rectify. But overall, our potential players, our young guys, did extremely well. And it just seemed a little bit, Rob, where it was inconsistent in their play, where in the first half against Wales was excellent in the first game. And probably the second half against Wales was one of their worst halves in the whole first round. Now, forward that to England, 0-0 against England, a team that up until they got knocked out were the leading goal scorers in the World Cup. 12 goals at that point and had 8 different scorers. So it's almost like, they did well there, and then to win against Iran, which was a fantastic match. And we wanted to see them really push themselves a little bit. And you saw what Christian Pulisic can do, getting in that run into the box and that great ball from Dest, which was brilliant. So a lot of good moments, and you can't just overlook it and kind of shadow it and say, oh, wow, they should have done better against the Netherlands. Yeah, they know that. They certainly know that. And eating goals at the beginning they did was poor. Absolutely poor. So lessons learned. Young group up against a tactical team like the Netherlands and Louis van Gaal. A great manager, a more experienced manager, unfortunately, than Greg Berhalter. But look, I think it's a lot to build on. A lot of positivity here to build on as we host with Mexico and Canada in 2026. And maybe it's one of those where there's going to be a lot of different players that push their way into this 2026 side as well. And those guys, Tyler Adams and the Pulisic and Musas and the young players, will have more experience under their belt. And they'll be able to take that forward. Now, who knows what that team's going to look like, and who knows who's going to coach it. Because as we see, there's a lot of unsteadiness within that camp. We're seeing all the reports right now. But look, putting the microscope on top of our guys, yeah, they did pretty well, I would say.
Let's switch from the fan hat to the manager hat then. And I want to we'll deep dive into the issues with Gio Reyna and the locker room and all that, but from the perspective of a manager, and I know you know Greg and have a relationship with Greg, but there's really been, and I've noticed this, a pretty wide divide in U.S. soccer fans, Coach. There is a group who are ready to move on from Berhalter now, think that the goal of keep possession maybe kind of inhibits our guys from trying to push forward and be creative. And then there's the other camp that have a very strong argument of, hey, look, we've won CONCACAF multiple times. We've won the Gold Cup. I think we're 4-1 in the last 5 against Mexico, which is, that's a pretty hefty record as well. Do you feel like we showed enough advancement with a young group that, by the way, Greg Berhalter, I can do this. I've done it a long time. Greg Berhalter has brought into the rotation, has helped them build that core and that foundation. There are a lot of coaches that are very good at the development, but then when it comes time to take that development and win, struggle with that part. There's a lot of coaches that can win, but don't know how to develop. Where do you feel Berhalter is on that sliding scale? Do you think he has done enough within CONCACAF to give him a second World Cup cycle? We saw in this World Cup, a lot of second cycle managers had success and a lot of first cycle managers kind of fell out a little bit. Has he done enough to earn another cycle in your opinion?
Yeah, I think so. you know, and look, I mean, those discussions they're going to be hard, fierce discussions, good conversations, you know, between the Federation and Ernie Stewart, you know, and Brian McBride, you know, with Greg Berhalter and his staff. They're going to probably reflect back quite a bit on could things have been done differently and how could we improve moving forward. And then, you know, obviously the leadership, you know, kind of controversy that's been brought up now with Gio Reyna. A lot of fans asking for Gio Reyna to get more playing time. Greg now, it was supposed to be exclusive and not on the record, and now it's revealed, and now it's out there about Gio not performing, and his performance was not the best in training. So how was that handled the right way? Everybody's going to have their opinions, Rob. As you said, you get criticized for everything, you know, these days. You know, if you do 10 things and 9 of them you do excellent, and the one time you make the mistake is always kind of magnified a little bit. That's just our culture, unfortunately. But, you know, look, there's a lot of big conversations that are happening right now. And did Greg do enough with a young group to manage them the right way to get the best out of them? And probably, yeah, I agree. From a tactical standpoint, I think there were some hard lessons learned in this World Cup. There was certainly a lack of depth for strikers, you know, to come on the field and actually help a team, you know, perform in that final third and score goals, which is needed. And playing Jesus Ferreira in a must-win situation, knockout round against the Netherlands in his first minutes in this World Cup is very risky, very risky. So, you know, you look at formations, style of play, choices of players, and yeah, it's a big mixed bag, to be honest with you. But managing, you know, what Greg did and got the results that he did, I thought it was a great job by him. And so hopefully, you know, he wants it. Who knows? Maybe he doesn't want it, Rob. Maybe he's at a point where I want to get back to everyday club football. I want to manage on a day-to-day basis, you know, with a club situation somewhere. And, you know, those are a lot of hard discussions for sure.
John Harkes, head coach of the Greenville Triumph, 2-time World Cup participant, member of the National Soccer Hall of Fame, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upside. Let me quickly ask you about that situation, Coach, because, you know, you've got what happens behind the locker room, and I know a lot of managers, and from what we understand from a couple of the players, including Gio Reyna himself, has told the team, hey, locker room issues, stay in the locker room. Like, we're a team, we're a squad. We keep our drama together. We're not going to put it out there in the public. Greg does go in what he thought was a exclusive off-the-record conversation, and he does bring it up. And in fact, we talked about it on the show on Monday. I said, look, I think a part of this is Greg took a hell of a lot of heat for not playing Gio Reyna, for myself included. I will throw my name in that arena. I was shocked, especially against England late, that we didn't see more of Gio Reyna, who I think was arguably the most creative solo player that we had on the roster. I said, I think to some degree, Greg told this story and has let this get out because he's defending himself from the number one critique of him, which is Gio Reyna didn't get his PT. But at the same time, he did, if these stories are true, tell the locker room that in-house drama stays in-house. That's a tough situation that I frankly kind of felt was lose-lose for Greg Berhalter. Either he's got an enormous amount of pressure being applied for not playing Gio Reyna, or he can come out and go, there's a real good reason I didn't play Gio, but also does he lose the trust of the locker room a little bit? Kind of where, like, how do you see that situation as a whole? Because it really kind of felt like a pretty tough one for Greg to win in.
Yeah, look, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I think you bring up a lot of great points there, Rob. You know, when you're a manager of a team, the number one thing you need to have with the players to get the best out of those players is to have trust. And, you know, if you provide the great culture and the leadership where you have open communication, you can have the hard conversations with the players one-to-one, certainly not. You know, there's sometimes managers don't want to have those big, hard conversations. It seems like they did have those conversations. Now, the way it was handled, everybody's different. I certainly don't think Greg wanted that out in the open, to be honest with you. And look, it could come early, you know, in any of his interviews as a manager, just say, look, I know you have a lot of questions about a particular player. This one just happened to be Gio Reyna. I feel that as compared to the rest of the guys in this particular midfield or in this style of play, that he's a little bit behind in performance, from a day to day in training. And if that's at least put out to the media, then people know why the selection's not happening. So look, I mean, there could have been handled differently. Absolutely. Without a doubt. And I think those are, moments where managers all the time, managers make mistakes just like players make mistakes on the field. So self-reflection is huge in terms of growth. And I'm sure there's a lot of self-reflection within not just Greg and his staff, but the players themselves, the way that they handled it. And then also, from the federation standpoint, and the media. And sometimes people argue, Rob, like, that's a bit naive if you think you're going to put something out like that, at a conference, a big show, and it's not going to get out in the media. I mean, of course it's going to get out, and yeah, you really want to try to keep that internal and protect the team as best as you can.
John Harkes joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, let's shift gears for just a second, Coach, and take a look at what we've got. We had a couple of Cinderellas in Croatia and Morocco. Enormous respect to both of those teams for making it to the semifinals. But at the end of the day, the powerhouses won. Kylian Mbappe in France, Lionel Messi, obviously, in Argentina. As a fan, I think a lot of us are pulling for Leo Messi to get that last elusive World Cup. I think that might be the only thing that stands between him and GOAT status at this point, is to lift that gold trophy at the end. But this French team is just so deep. They're so athletic, and they're so quick to be able to counterpunch when you make a single mistake, Coach. I am leaning France in this one, but Messi was so good in that semifinal game. He was playing like a guy half his age with all the talent in the world. What's your thoughts? What's your breakdown on this World Cup final?
I mean, first of all, like you said, there's so many quality players on both these teams. I mean, whether it be Mbappe, Griezmann, Giroud, Dembele from France, all attacking players that can easily take on one-on-ones and break down the game. And then you look back at Argentina, and the way that, for me, I really think like Messi has not only come into his own, but he's also just at 35 years old, he's defying logic. I mean, he's running around 23 and 24-year-old players, and he's that fit. But how smart and intelligent he is, the weight of the pass. He is a full team player. And, you see him, what he's done with Alvarez, McAllister in the midfield, Fernandez. I mean, these are all quality players, but you can't look past Hugo Lloris, the goalkeeper for France, and also Martinez, the goalkeeper for Argentina. They have been stand-up heroes, without a doubt, in big games. And so, it's going to come down to, don't concede the first goal in this World Cup final. I would love to see Messi win it. I think he is the greatest. And I think he shows that not just in his one-on-one and goal scoring, but like I said earlier, a full, complete player and a leader that not just thinks of himself and his status of who he is, but he thinks of others and he wants to be the best he can. So I really hope he does lift it, Rob. I think, his status won't be tarnished if he doesn't, but it's going to be one heck of a game, man. These are two of the best men easily that we're going to see around the world play against each other in a final on Sunday.
How does, and last one, Coach, we'll wrap it up, and I'll circle back around to the beginning of the interview. How does the U.S. go about, because we talked about the fact that there was a lack of depth at striker. Maybe it's different if Gio Reina's in a better headspace and he's out there and you can get more minutes out of him. But, we really did. I mean, I thought possession was excellent. The back line played, I think, better than most of us I expected. The midfield was just golden from almost start to finish in this tournament. We just could not put the ball in the net in the final third. When you have that going on, how do we find a Leo Messi? How do we find a Cristiano Ronaldo? We have got an incredible amount of athletes in this country. How does U.S. Soccer go about finding what I genuinely feel is the one piece to the puzzle that's still missing, which is somebody that you can pair with Pulisic up top to finish off some of the opportunities that have been created by him and Timothy Weah, et cetera. What's the next step to go find us a Leo Messi?
It's hard, Rob, and I think every country in the world asks the same question, not just the USA. I mean, you look at Croatia, and we talk about Luka Modric, who is like a workhorse number 8 in the midfield. but they don't have a Messi. There's Spain doesn't have a Messi. It's Portugal, has Cristiano Ronaldo. But it's very difficult, to have a player like that. So what you end up doing is, because you don't have that individual that can like break down the game and just take on 2-3 players and open up space, you play as a team. And so your tactical formation has to be really, really sharp. And you saw Morocco, how well they defended in the Cup, shutting down teams. And Belgium, Spain, I mean, it was like amazing what they did. So, can we grow that player? Can Christian Pulisic, he's still young. Can he grow over the next 7, 8 to 10 years and become, someone like that? I mean, it's hard to find, Rob. These are once in a lifetime, once in a generation players that come around. And Leo Messi, man, we're just so blessed. I mean, you talk about a guy like Maradona and Pele back in the day, and then all of a sudden, generations later, Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo and other players like Mbappe is the next player to really stand up and have that kind of that platform. And can we do that in this country? Without a doubt, because we've gotten stronger and stronger. Our MLS league, Major League Soccer, has gotten stronger. Our USL leagues have gotten stronger. So our foundation is building these players and giving opportunities at a younger age to get involved in the game. So yeah, we got to keep on continuing to grow and stay optimistic. Give players a chance, and they'll shine for you. They really will.
I love it. John Harkes, head coach of the Greenville Triumph, 2-time World Cup participant, and a member of the National U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame. John, you are the best, my man. I appreciate it, Coach, and we will do it again soon, brother.
Always great to be on with you, Rob. And if it wasn't so cold, I'd say let's get out and hit the golf ball around a little bit.
If it wasn't so cold, I'd say yes. But in the meantime, I'll see you in the spring, I think.
All right. And remember, you're coming out to training, so let's get you fit. All right.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that on a private chat. John Harkes, you are the best, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, brother. Thanks so much.
There you go. That is the head coach of your Greenville Triumph, head coach John Harkes. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday, and you know what that means. It's Fight Club, and it's up next right here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. We're back, but I wish you guys would have heard what Lonzo just said.
It was very demeaning of myself, but
It was,
yeah,
but hilarious.
Yeah.
Self-deprecating comedy is the best comedy.
Welcome into the Fight Club, the last one this year. I don't know if Rob thought about that. This is the last Fight Club this year. Look at him. He's checking his calendar. Is it really?
Are you off next?
No, you are.
Am I off next week?
Yeah.
I forgot. I know I put in some more days, but
All
I
right.
couldn't tell you when they
I changed it to 96% then. So probably, more than likely, the last Fight Club of 2022, which I didn't think about until just now when I
Hang on, I'm
pushed
gonna
the
look
on
at what
button.
dates I'm
He's gonna look. You do that.
I forgot.
You do that. It's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. You're off, I believe, next Thursday and Friday, and then the entire following week.
You might be right. Better find out. In the meantime, here's Fight Club.
Not that I couldn't. I know who the who the backups are. I know who the bullpen is, and one of them I could talk wrestling with. The other one I could not. So,
I mean, I'm here.
Carlos is a wrestling guy. So, I mean, there's that.
Carlos is a wrestling guy.
Carter not so much, but Carlos is a wrestling guy. So Carlos and I, and then get that New York perspective on the wrestling. There's that. I am going to ask him the rat question, though. By the way,
the what question?
So, I asked him about driving in New York. So anytime he fills in for you, I'm going to ask him a New York question. New York just, and this has
a New York question.
Yeah. And this has nothing to do with Fight Club, but New York just ordered or just hired or is hiring a rat czar to take care of their rat problems. So you make like $150,000 or something to be a Pied Piper, I guess.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm off next Thursday.
Yeah. He is. I already knew that. By the way, James in the stream says, how incredible is it that a purple hat can get over in wrestling? I love this hat.
I like this hat.
Jake Hager. No, it's Jake Hager.
Yeah, I know. It's the purple bucket hat.
Purple hat. I want one.
If I can find the purple bucket hat, I'm buying one.
Yeah, I want one.
Bucket hats it's a very specific look.
Yeah, I think it works for certain heads and not others. I don't know if it works for me or not until I try it. I don't like trying on hats in like Walmart or something because everybody else has tried those on, and you don't know, there might be lice or something else crawling through those things, and not from someone else's head who just tried to.
I know how lice works.
Yeah, they jump and into things and stuff. So anyway, all right. So the first question in the Fight Club is Vince McMahon wants to come back. What do you think about that, Rob?
Wow. He said, you know what I think about it? You want the honest what I think about it? Vince McMahon is a raging narcissist. Vince McMahon.
You don't get any of that here on this program.
No. Everybody here recognizes how intelligent, smart, funny, and handsome they are. Vince overestimates it, right? I think VKM is a raging narcissist. I think VKM does not recognize what he did wrong. I think VKM is looking at the fact that since he left and H and Stephanie took over, the fact that this product is as good and popular as it's been in how long, Zoe? I'm not going to be that guy that goes since the Attitude Era, but maybe.
At least a decade,
it's
probably.
The best it's been in a decade. And I think that he wants to give himself credit for that and therefore come back to kind of bask in that glory, so to speak. Let me put it this way. All you need to know. That story came out that Vince felt like he was given bad advice as if he had the option, as if this was his decision. And he wants to come back, and WWE's stock went down like 20% in value in an hour.
And the funny part, there are people online who think that he's still running things. If he was, it wouldn't be as good as it is right now.
Correct.
Yeah. So, Vince, stay away. Enjoy your retirement.
Yeah.
It isn't like you're, destitute or anything. If you got money to make all those payouts, you probably still got some money.
You own a Tyrannosaurus Rex fossil. Just stay home and look at it. All right.
So who wouldn't want to do that? I mean,
No,
if you got one, you got to look at it.
Listen,
I mean, I'm just saying.
We went the other day. The lady friend one and I went into a Christmas store the other day, and for some and whatever reason, they had like a half-size Tyrannosaurus Rex skull replica, and I picked it up, and I'm like, I'm buying this. And then I flipped it over, and it was like $350.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that.
And she's like, why would you buy that? And I was like, why the hell would I not buy this? If I had Vince money, I would also own a T-Rex skull. But if I had Vince's money, I would also go, why the hell would I work? Why would I work?
Yeah, Cameron has a dragon skull, and it's like this big.
Just stay home and look at it.
Yeah, I mean, and you're like, why would you buy it? Because he could. All right, so in case you hadn't heard, Mandy Rose lost the belt Tuesday night on NXT. She had the NXT Women's Championship for over a year, well over a year, and had defended it many times. So it wasn't like she was Roman Reigns and only wrestle every once in a while. She wrestled a ton, and she lost to Roxanne Perez, which I really, 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 really have a problem with. And I want to say, yeah, I know it's wrestling. I know it's according to writing, but there's collusion involved in here, because I think that there's a deal between Booker T and Shawn Michaels saying, hey, I'll come down here and I will be the analyst, the color guy, as long as my girl Roxanne Perez becomes champion. And there are many more deserving women in NXT who are better wrestlers, who are better on the mic. And it's just weird that you see that one person that just skyrockets and you think, well, they got family or something. There's no, they don't deserve that. I'm not saying she doesn't have the potential to be as a champion, which she is now. She does, but a lot of botches, a lot of things that I think someone else could do better. So I think it has to do with Booker T. But they had to find a champion. You know why they had to find a champion, Rob? Because they fired Mandy Rose the next day. And there are petitions out there, rehire Mandy Rose, and there are comparisons made with the Paige situation, with Xavier Woods situation, with wellness policy things about how other people were given second chances and boom, she's out. I've also read some things about how bad what she did is. And the question is, so what you do outside of work, how much does it influence how keeping your job?
A lot. Like primarily. Now, I've been doing this for a long time, so I'm kind of trained at this point, but you would better believe that when Rob Brown's out in public, a solid 80 to 90% of the decisions I make are preceded with the thought, is my boss going to be cool with this? Because I really like my job and the whole getting paid and having one aspect of life. Couple of things. Number one, the Paige/Saraya stuff is a different story, because Paige/Saraya had her stuff hacked and distributed against her consent. Okay. It is different. Now, what Mandy put up on the internets, and I, for the record, have not seen it. Granted, different story, because Mandy Rose posted this stuff intentionally, right? She posted it to be seen on the internet. Granted, behind a paywall, but she posted it. And from what I understand, there was full-blown nudity, borderline hardcore pornography that was posted of Mandy Rose. The stuff that got posted of Xavier and Saraya and Brad the Maddox and all these guys, those were all hacked. Those were all filmed by consenting adults in a relationship that they were consenting to, but not to have their stuff distributed. That's why that wasn't held against them. Then I saw people going back and they were like, oh, well, Tori Wilson showed as much as Mandy did on TV. Right. But that was a different era in time. That was a different era of wrestling and was accepted at that time.
Yeah. Back in the day, they hired Playboy bunnies and things like that.
They used to advertise Playboy magazines on Raw. Right. But it is a new age. It's the PG era of wrestling. And these actors, all of them, have these types of clauses in their contract. We're like, okay, if you want to do, if you want to take pictures and model and distribute them and make money, that's fine. What you can't do is go post your nudes on the internet, because whether you like it or not, regardless of if you're a face or a heel, especially WWE has gone back to being more family friendly. Not entirely. I mean, you're still going to catch some bad words and stuff because that's real life, but it is more catered to kids. And especially when you were talking about the superstars of today, you cannot have those type of materials floating around. Y'all know that I am usually the woke guy at the forefront of fighting for the rights of the employees here. But Mandy Rose, to my understanding, signed a contract that said you can't go naked on the internet, and she got naked on the internet. This is a consequence. I absolutely think she'll be back one day. I think she'll be sat down for a couple of years. She's going to make, I guarantee you she's pulling in $25,000 a month plus posting these on the internet. So she's going to be fine financially. She'll cool off for a year and a half, 2 years, and then she'll come back at like Royal Rumble 2026 and be forgiven and win that and get back to where she was. It's an unfortunate situation, but it is what it is.
Should you be, I'm guessing she was probably warned at some point, but should you be surprised if you push a character as trashy in a certain way if they actually are that?
So I will say two things. First off, she's not pushed as trashy. She's posted as sexy and she knows it. There is nothing wrong. The dudes, like I've always thought, why do women wear so little? The dudes come out and wrestle in boxer or in briefs, right? Like they're not any different than the dudes. She has not been pushed as trashy. She's been pushed as arrogantly and overconfidently
By the way,
attractive.
I would say the entire Toxic Attraction is kind of trashy. For sure. They're built that way. They're just, I mean,
first off,
that's fine.
as the great brand Confederate Railroad once said, I like my women just a little on the trashy side when they wear their clothes too tight and their hair is dyed. That's a classic.
All right, that makes me want to end the segment because you're quoting country. So yeah,
I'd say Southern rock, but that's a different conversation. They have been pushed as women who are confidently sexy, confidently attractive. That's completely fine. They are the female version of Brutus the Beefcake, right? Like that's just what they are. But again, you pushed the Undertaker for years as a dude who murdered people. If the Undertaker actually murdered people, he'd be fired.
I think that's going to the extreme, but yeah, I get your point.
It's to make a point. The point is, because your character is this does not. Now, again, Mandy Rose has been posting pictures of her in bikinis for her entire career.
She's also been she's been on the cover of like magazines and stuff like that. By the way, one of my favorite interviews ever on the station was with Mandy Rose.
Yeah. She's been pushed for years. She's been posting scantily clad pictures for years, and it has never been a problem. It wasn't a problem until she got naked. And when she got naked, they went, hey, look, we can have you teaching people and showing people, hey, it's okay to be confident in your own skin. It's okay to be confident in your body. You can't do that. And she knew that, and she rolled the dice. She played with fire, and she got burned. It is what it is.
Or maybe she just wanted out. What are the chances you think she ends up on AEW?
Good, but not immediately. Good, but not a bit, because I don't think, what you can't do if you're AEW is put out the optics that you are scrambling to just grab WWE people immediately, because that kind of makes you look desperate, right? So
they've already been doing that. So all right, a couple more things. Alexa had a Bray Wyatt moment, had a Fiend moment Monday night. Are you good with how slow they're bringing this along with Bray Wyatt and all the people who might be connected to him? I really enjoyed Alexa, just the flash of the moth thing on the screen, and suddenly she's going Sister Abigail. I thought that was, and how she played it really well, that it affected her, that she had no idea that I thought it was a good segment.
I think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic for a handful of reasons. I mean, they've been, obviously teasing the Alexa Bliss heel turn back to her dark character. And I think they're doing it in a really, really kind of cool way, in that they are kind of showing that there's still a little bit of that brainwash from the Fiend that's still left in there. So it gives you a tie back to an old character, but with the new one updated. I think at the same time, having them have no direct contact with each other makes it even that much more interesting. And again, I thought Alexa in her heel roll, her dark heel roll back in the day, I thought she was really good at it. And so to have that moment where she shows that panic, like what just happened? Like, I don't know, man. Like, as storytelling goes, as I mentioned a minute ago, WWE is the best it has been. And as you said, at least a decade. And this is one of a handful of storylines going on that's great. I will also say that when Bray had the lights turned off in the arena and LA Knight went to an iPhone flashlight, that's just good stuff, dude.
Yeah.
That's great, right? Like I've always said, if I ever get back into wrestling, that my character would be a wrestler who knows all the other gimmicks and treats them like a regular person. Having Bray come out in the dark and then having LA Knight start looking around with an iPhone flashlight is spectacular storytelling.
And he still got beat up, but yeah.
But it's got a great point to it, right? Like, how many times did Undertaker turn out the light and not one of y'all thought, I should bring a flashlight to the ring just so I can see him coming? Like, how great is that?
All right, one last thing before we go to break. Got to talk something AEW. Chris Jericho lost to a jobber last night.
You know, it's so funny because you and I quite literally had this conversation earlier this week. Off the air, but we had this conversation earlier this week. For me to stay bought in, every now and then, somebody that ain't supposed to win should. You go watch college football. Every now and then, a team that ain't supposed to win upsets a giant. In the NFL, every now and then, a 1-win Houston Texans upsets a 10-win Dallas Cowboys. And everybody goes like, holy crap, I did not see that coming. That's how sports works. So every now and then, have somebody who is completely not supposed to win the upset, flip the Vegas books on them a little bit, and it makes you invest more. This is great. And then to have Jericho just losing his mind going bananas backstage for the first, and I mean this as an AEW fan, for the first time in about 3 months, I'm kind of interested in what happens next to Chris Jericho. I've kind of checked out on Jericho, and now I'm right back in.
It was the most intriguing thing last night. Shout out to Action Andretti, biggest win of his career.
I have been an Action Andretti fan, Lonzo, for as long as I've seen him wrestling. All since Wednesday. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for Fight Club. And Lonzo says it's the last one of the year. We'll see. I'm only off next Thursday and Friday. We could do it on a Wednesday. We'll see. Rob Lonzo and you back after this to wrap up the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
I have been thwarted just to prove me wrong. I'll show you.
So
we'll just move it to Wednesday. How you like that?
The Madre just texted and said, y'all have to stop saying Alexa. My Alexa keeps saying, I'm having trouble hearing you over and over.
It happens. It happens in everyone's house if they're watching wrestling. Trust me. It's happened in mine a bunch. You never know, James. I think his career is winding down. This dude's had some health problems and things, even though he got back in better shape. He's like 51 years old. I don't think he's going to wrestle a whole lot longer, especially with a successful band and a bunch of other stuff. This podcast is pretty good. I'm sure he gets paid by Vice to do all the voiceover stuff that he does for the ring stuff. Lego artist sounds pretty cool. Steven, the problem is, I wonder if it costs as much to go see a Lego artist as it does to buy a Lego kit. If it does, it might be a little pricey. And going and seeing a Lego artist would probably be about as close as I get to actual Legos anymore because of the price. My wife was looking at Lego sets for somebody, and I'm like, yeah, turn it over. Look at the price on that. She's like, oh. I was like, yep, it's about the name. No, I was saying while you were out of the room, I think Jericho's probably winding it down because he is 51, and he's going to have to. I don't think he's the guy who's still wrestling when he's 62. Talking to you, Sting. Stop it. Yeah, I heard that too, Trey. And he had one of his better years.
When cold symptoms keep you up, try Vicks NyQuil Severe for max strength nighttime relief. Just one dose of Vicks NyQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Get some rest and feel better with Vicks NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, sore throat, stuffy nose, fever, best sleep with a cold. Medicine. Use this directly.
Hi, I'm your unused PTO. It's almost the end of the year, and if you don't put me on a timesheet, I will be gone forever. Use me or lose me. Let's get away.
It's getaway time. Get our best deals of the season on a new Hyundai. It's your journey. Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Now get 0% APR, 0 payments for 90 days, and $500 bonus cash on select vehicles. Hurry to your local Hyundai dealer now during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Offer ends 1/3/23. Call 1-562-314-4603 for complete offer details.
This afternoon, cloudy mild with a chance of rain, high of 58.
Weather brought to you by Pfizer and BioNTech. This fall, there are now updated COVID-19 booster shots designed for recent Omicron variants. Learn more and schedule your updated booster at vaccines.gov.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the Fan.
Upstate. 97.7 FM Green. 97.1 FM Smart.
From the Free Odyssey,
CBS Sports Radio.
All right, time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what's trending. He will tell us why it's trending. And I can't wait for this.
Or completely make it up.
I can't wait for this first one. And probably the first and only time you'll ever hear me say this, but it is trending. MILF Manor is trending.
Apparently.
Wow, I didn't click on it. So you actually know what this is. Okay.
Apparently. Let me just go ahead and say this. The lady friend watches trash TV, and she calls it that, not me.
What, like Real Housewives and stuff
She
like that?
right now is
or-
big into Sister Wives. Okay? Sister Wives is a story about one dude and his like 4 or 5 or 6 wives in Utah, and she's all into it right now. She's all into it right now because like 2 of the wives have left the guy in the last couple of weeks, and they're kind of getting to that point of the story in the TV show, and she admits it's trash. I will no longer stand for the slander of women telling me that dudes who watch wrestling are immature when stuff like MILF, because I promise you, there is not a
Wait,
scratch
is
that.
this a show?
It's a television
Are
show.
you serious?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, it is effectively Real Housewives. From what I understand, it's effectively Real Housewives, but instead of all the wives living in different houses, they're all going to live in the same house, right? So it's going to be even trashier than Real Housewives, right? I'm a big proponent of women. Y'all know if a woman calls a show, she goes to the front of the line of callers. I frequently have female guests on whenever I can, Savannah and Emily. Whenever I get the opportunity to have a female sports commentator on, I do it. But I will not stand women telling me that men who watch sports or wrestling are immature anymore when y'all are because they ain't cranking out MILF Manor for dudes. Contrary to what the name may imply, it's not on Spice. It's not on HBO. It's not on Skinamax. None of us are staying up late anymore to watch the wavy screens to see if we can see one body part. It's not for dudes. This is because there's nothing that y'all like more than some trash TV, if we can just be honest with each other.
Because women don't like women. So if they watch other women doing that, it's just being mean to each other.
Seriously, I want you to name me all the reality shows you know about women building each other up.
I don't really watch reality shows,
I don't
so I know about Real Housewives.
Right.
But
MILF Manor is not being made, ironically and hilariously, because MILF Manor, if you were selling MILF Manor, the movie, in a Penthouse store, then I'd say it's for dudes.
I got to say, I did not think this would take up almost the entire time.
You did.
All right, so time for one more, and it's Henry Cavill.
So Henry Cavill was informed yesterday that he will not, as previously planned, be returning to the role of Superman, at least not yet. Gunn and Co. taking over the DC universe have said that their next Superman movie is going to focus on the former years, the early years of the current Superman, kind of like they did with the Batman last year, or I guess earlier this year. It feels like a few years back. So Henry Cavill has been sidelined as Superman. Now, Gunn came out and said that there's the chance that Cavill will return later down the line, depending on the success of this movie. But Henry Cavill put out a post yesterday that said his time wearing the cape is done, which is too bad, because while I think that effectively one of the movies he was in as Superman was any good, he was a good Superman. Man of Steel was a decent movie. Everything after that sucked.
By the way,
that's not his fault.
Liam Hemsworth is also trending because people believe now that that Henry Cavill is not there, that he's going to go back to Witcher, which I hope he does.
Yeah, me too. He was a great Geralt. Great. Ladies and gentlemen, Texter says no NFL talk today. Well, it turns out it's only Thursday, and we got another 3 hours of radio fineness to do.
Oh my gosh, we went against the moniker.
I know. I'm really sorry about that. Texter said Rob making confessions about the wavy screens to look at MILFs. You were a kid too. If you are my age, you watch staticky Skinamax. Don't lie to me. Be honest. That's it for us. We'll see you tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate later, brother. If I get in trouble for that segment, I get in trouble for that segment. But Lonzo brought up MILF Manor.
It was trendy. It was trendy. I had no idea what it was. So.
All right, you guys are the best. I appreciate it. We will see you all back here tomorrow. Have a lovely rest of your day. Goodbye.